What if the end of Steve Rogers' peaceful life was never an ending at all? What if it was the beginning of the biggest threat the Avengers have ever faced? And what if Dr. Doom's arrival isn't just doom for the world, but doom for Steve's own family? Today, we dive deep into the first official teaser for Avengers Doomsday, a trailer that somehow manages to be quiet, emotional, terrifying, and prophetic, all at the same time. And right from the opening frame, Marvel sets a tone that tells us this isn't just another Avengers movie. This is Steve Rogers' story, rebuilt from the ashes of Endgame. The teaser begins with Steve riding his vintage motorcycle down a lonely road, the golden light hitting him the same way it did in the Avengers' final shot. It's more than nostalgia. It's Marvel reminding us that Steve's journey has always been tied to motion, to momentum, to the idea that even when the world stops, Steve Rogers does not. Every past film, from the first Avenger to Winter Soldier to Age of Ultron, used motorcycles not as props, but as emotional anchors that revealed who Steve really is. And in this teaser, Marvel doesn't just show us a bike. They show us a memory, a callback, a foreshadowing. Because Marvel never includes something this symbolic in a Doomsday-level trailer without purpose. As Steve removes his helmet and sets it on the motorcycle's handle, the moment feels oddly simple, almost too ordinary. But hidden inside that simplicity is something deeply meaningful. Steve Rogers, the super soldier, the man who can survive explosions and outrun cars, still values safety, still values caution. This is the Steve who has lived a full life, who now has something to lose, someone to protect. Marvel uses something as common as a helmet to whisper a truth into the audience's ear. Steve isn't the same soldier he once was. He's not reckless, not invincible, not alone. He is a husband, a father, a man who finally has a life worth guarding. The helmet becomes a symbol of a man who has begun thinking like a protector first and a warrior second, hinting at the emotional conflict waiting in the shadows of this story. Because any symbol of safety in a Doomsday trailer can only mean one thing: safety is about to be shattered. Steve walks toward the familiar home from the Endgame epilogue, a shot that bridges who he was with who he is. The glass door reflects a faint silhouette of Steve, a quiet but brilliant visual metaphor Marvel uses to tell us that this story lives between timelines. The motorcycle sequence connects us to Steve's past. The reflection in the glass roots us in his present. And the home itself? It's the doorway between the life he earned and the life he may be forced to abandon. The filmmakers hint that Avengers Doomsday begins exactly where Endgame left Steve. Peaceful, grounded, fulfilled, but also vulnerable in a way he has never been before. If the MCU is known for anything, it's for never wasting frames. This reflection shot isn't just clever cinematography, it's a narrative warning. A storm is coming, and it knows exactly where Steve Rogers lives. Then the teaser unfolds into one of its most powerful storytelling strokes. Steve opens an old storage box and pulls out his Endgame suit, untouched and waiting. It's the exact same suit he wore in the time heist, the same one that carried the weight of a universe on its shoulders. As Steve stares at the suit, we aren't just watching a man confronting his past, we're watching a legend silently evaluate whether that part of him is truly behind him. Marvel uses no music shift, no dramatic cue, only the weight of the moment itself. And when Steve gently closes the box again, choosing the present over the past, it's a visual promise that he wants peace more than war. But the brilliance of this moment lies in its duality. While Steve is trying to preserve his past and protect his present, the future, unseen and unstoppable, is already on its way. The box closes, but destiny does not. That's when the teaser delivers its emotional heart, Steve holding his baby boy. It's such a soft, disarming, beautiful shot that the entire universe seems to pause for it. This is Steve Rogers at his purest. No shield, no suit, no battlefield. Just a father smiling at the tiny life in his arms. In Endgame, his dance with Peggy gave us closure. But here, Marvel is opening a new story, a new chapter, a new emotional foundation. The child isn't just a sweet moment. He is the embodiment of Steve's future. The reason Steve now chooses caution, chooses stillness, chooses a life away from war. And because Marvel is Marvel, that means the child is also the source of the greatest emotional threat the MCU has ever placed on Captain America. For the first time in his life, Steve has something he absolutely cannot lose. And that changes everything. But beauty in a Doomsday teaser is never just beauty. It is contrast, because right after showing us Steve's present peace, Marvel begins whispering about his future devastation. Dr. Doom is coming. A multiversal tyrant with a mind sharper than Stark and a cruelty deeper than Thanos. And in this story, Doom isn't just targeting Earth. He may specifically target Steve's timeline, the one Steve ran away to, the one he believed was untouched. What happens when Doom decides that even timelines outside the main MCU are his to conquer? What happens when he decides to erase the peaceful branch Steve created? Steve has spent his whole life fighting for others, nations, worlds, ideals, but Avengers Doomsday asks a darker question. What will he do when the war is for his own child's future? For the first time, Steve's motive won't be duty. It will be desperation. If Doom hunts Steve, he will hunt his lineage, his home, his happiness. Marvel is crafting a scenario where Steve cannot simply stand aside, cannot retire, cannot remain peaceful. Doom forces him to confront the very thing he tried to escape, being Captain America again. But not the same captain, not the soldier who fought Hydra or Thanos. This will be a Captain America driven by primal fear, by parental love, by a future he refuses to let Doom steal. And that makes Steve more dangerous and more tragic than ever before. Because he will go to any extent, cross any line, and fight any monster to protect the tiny child we saw resting in his arms. That's why the teaser subtly connects Steve's past, present, and future, as if Marvel wants us to see the timeline Doom intends to break. The teaser ends with a chilling message: Steve Rogers will return in Avengers Doomsday. And with that, the screen cuts to a massive Avengers A forming around a countdown clock, time itself ticking toward destruction. The symbolism is brutal and brilliant. Endgame ended with time being healed. Doomsday begins with time running out. Steve, the man who finally escaped war, now stands on the edge of a future he never asked for. Doom is coming. A Tony-like intellect with darker ambition, a mirror of the man Steve once fought in Civil War, now twisted into something far more catastrophic. It's almost poetic. The last great conflict of Steve Rogers' life may echo the first ideological war that tore the Avengers apart. Except this time it's not Tony versus Steve. It's Tony's shadow versus Steve's legacy. And only one future will survive. So that was our full breakdown and theory on the Avengers Doomsday teaser. A trailer that reveals almost nothing yet says absolutely everything. If you enjoyed exploring this with me, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. More epic breakdowns are coming your way right here on MovieCast.